Nickelodeon has been loved by all ages for decades. Since releasing the first 3 Nicktoons in the early 90s, Nickelodeon has become known as a predominantly cartoon channel. The 90s are revered as the golden age of cartoons, then the 2000s being a noteworthy successor that definitely started to falter as time went on. The next era, being the 2010s, is arguably the worst era, and I am here to tell you why. But first, a little bit of backstory. In the early 90s, they introduced
Nigga, fuck the 90s. I love the 2000s and the 2010s, man. You can't talk bad about the 2010s. Tough Puppies and Fanboy and Chum Chum, Sanjay and Craig. What else? The Breadwinners? Oh, don't even get me started on the Breadwinners, bro. I love the Breadwinners. But listen to this old ass nigga talk bullshit about the 2010s when your old ass should have been having a job and not even watching cartoons. But let's see what this nigga got to say, bro. One ear out the other. I'm not even really listening. I'm just here to debate this shit. Cause I could fight about the 2010s of Nickelodeon. The 2010s of Nickelodeon has a special place in my heart, bro. I remember there's like little slots of my time of us actually having cable and shit. Cause we didn't have cable, nigga. We had antennas, but we had cable sometime. And I just remember us watching fucking Nickelodeon and shit. Let's see what this nigga got to say.
Doug, Rugrats, and The Ren and Stimpy Show. These 3 would become the first.
Sorry for pausing again. I watched the Ren and Stimpy probably a week or 2 ago when I was about to go to sleep. That shit is doggy.
Nicktoons. They proved to be very popular, thus Nickelodeon choosing a cartoon-oriented path. Rocko's Modern Life, Cat Dog, Angry Beavers, Oddville Monsters, Hey Arnold, and The Wild Thornberrys were soon to follow. All of these cartoons were very successful.
Bro, this shit is literally Katy Perry's music. This shit is ass. Like, there's nothing good about this era of Nickelodeon. I watch some of these shits trying to go to sleep. This shit is ass. Literally.
And still remain icons today. They were original and wacky, and had humor that hadn't been seen in cartoons before. These cartoons made up the 90s, and is now known as the Golden Era. The next era was the SpongeBob era.
Fire.
SpongeBob was, and still is, their cash cow. So, a lot of their focus went to SpongeBob. The entirety of the 2000s was plastered with the yellow square. Even with SpongeBob's success, there were a handful of cartoons that came out around this time that were still very good. The Fairly Oddparents, Jimmy Neutron, Danny Phantom, Invader Zim, My Life as a Teenage Robot, Avatar, and Chalk Zone. The first half of the 2000s was basically a sequel to the 90s. Original cartoons, unique concepts and adventures, and very enjoyable to watch. The second half of the 2000s is where the decline began, but had not fully hit rock bottom. The shows they were making...
Do any of y'all remember LT Gray? LT Gray isn't talked about a lot. I loved LT Gray. This shit was hilarious.
Didn't necessarily drop in quality, but a lack in promotion and opportunity led them to fail. These shows were for the most part overshadowed by their more successful cousins like SpongeBob and Fairly Oddparents. These shows were Tack and the Power of Juju, LT Gray, The Mighty Bee, Cat Scratch, The X's, and Back at the Barnyard. Nickelodeon didn't really seem to give these shows a chance, and really only promoted the big shows that they knew would perform well. In the last year of the 2000s, a show would be released that I think truly begins the descent into the worst era. Fanboy and Chum Chum. I know this dead horse has been beaten so much it's just pulp now. It's trendy to hate on this show, and that's not what I'm here to do. I'm simply bringing up the point that this show relied heavily on poop humor. I'm not criticizing it, but it does set in motion a domino effect of terrible humor. I am not...
This show made me the human being I am today. And people love me, man. So people should love this show because this show made me the human being I am. This is a face a mother would love. Huh? Hey, how you doing?
Now going to give an overview of all the Nicktoons during this decade. 17 different Nicktoons premiered in this decade, compared to 11 in the 90s and 17 in the 2000s. For the sake of the argument, I'm going to only go over actual Nicktoons, not every single animated show that aired this decade. So, for shows like Rabbids Invasion, that most certainly helps my argument, will not be talked about, as it is not categorized as a Nicktoon. The first new Nicktoon of the decade was
Planet
Planet
Sheen.
Sheen, a
Fire.
super unnecessary spin-off to Jimmy Neutron. This spin-off was not well liked. Making side characters the main characters is usually a poor decision unless you're Saul Goodman. Sheen became overly annoying, the plots were too bizarre, in a bad way, and visually, the show wasn't the best thing Nick had to offer. Going back to the humor, it was definitely different. It wasn't like Jimmy Neutron. It was
Do you guys remember in Total Drama Island when they showed boobies?
reminiscent of Fanboy and Chum Chum. The ratings gave validity to these claims, and Nickelodeon canceled the show after one season. The next Nicktoon was Tough Puppy. Being that it was created by Butch Hartman, the same guy that did Fairly Odd Parents and Danny Phantom, it couldn't have been all bad, right? Well, it wasn't, but you could definitely tell the shows were losing soul. I don't know how else to describe it than that. I get that I'm here to articulate my point with words, but this show feels like you took Fairly Odd Parents, drained the soul from it, and slapped on a spy theme. The next two shows are Winx Club and The Legend of Korra. They do not fit into the category of terrible. They are the very few diamonds in the rough of this decade. Robot and Monster is the next show, and it just brings more of the same. The show feels very empty, content-wise and visually. The humor this time isn't so much farting, but beating each other up and name-calling. There's nothing wrong with that humor, as it's probably the most common type of humor, but to have every joke based on it gets boring very fast. The 2012 TMNT is an all-around fine show. It gets the job done. I don't have any strong opinions on it. Sanjay and Craig are guilty of being
I dare this nigga try to say something bad about Sanjay and Craig, bro. Sanjay and Craig deserve so much better. If I'm being honest, this might be top 5 all best Nickelodeon shows ever. Sanjay and Craig was so good, bro. And I remember just looking at them chicken wings. I'm like, damn, them chicken wings look good, boy. Them chicken wings look so good. I want some of them chicken wings. I never got none of them chicken wings.
one of the worst on the network. I could make the argument that it is worse than Fanboy and Chum Chum. It's probably not, but it's very close. It relies only on fart humor. It's like you took the worst quality out of all the popular shows at the time and put it into one to make this show. It is just another show where a human and a non-human best friend duo go on really wacky adventures. Another thing this show has in common with all of the others that come after it is its hyperactivity. Fanboy and Chum Chum had it along with Tough Puppy, but it is right in your face with this show. Surely, this show is as bad as it gets. Nickelodeon really said, let's take Sanjay and Craig and make it 100 times worse.
Yo, this little red nigga, he thick as shit. Why he so thick? That boy eat his oats. That boy thick.
This show is complete brain rot humor, if you can even call it humor. There are no real stories for episodes, just recycled junk you have seen before. Annoying characters. So much stuff to do with butts. It is absolutely unreal how this was created, and then continued to be created. Look on the bright side. Breadwinners is the worst this decade gets. Harvey Beaks was a breath of fresh air. And then Pig, Goat, Banana, and Cricket released, and you were right back into the mud.
Oh, this is really like some 2017 shit, bro. Wow, this literally reminds me of 2017. Wow.
More hyperactive, over-exaggerated animation slop. The Loud House is next, and as it is still running to this day, it has proven to be a much better show than the others, even though I would argue the fart jokes and hyperactivity is definitely still present. Bunsen is a Beast, the fourth show by Butch Hartman, proved that it was more of what this decade has churned out. Yet again, a buddy duo where one is non-human, and they go on way too wacky of adventures. Welcome to Wayne. It seems better than most. I can't give any personal anecdote as I've never seen this one. Online, the most common criticism is that it is a Gravity Falls ripoff. 2 days after Welcome to Wayne aired, Fairly Odd Parents was canceled. This now left SpongeBob and, well, nothing else really. At this point, no show besides SpongeBob had been airing for longer than a year or so, and their cash cow SpongeBob was getting worse and worse. Hang on, let me talk about that in a second. Let's finish off this decade. There are 4 Nicktoons left of the decade. Only one of them still falls into the hyperactive poop humor category. The other 3 are reboots or spin-offs. This is the exact trend repeating itself. Let me explain. At the end of the
I'm not trying to hear none of this shit, bro. You think I want to listen to a nigga with long ass hair and got a neck beard that be in his fucking chair like this? He built like me, but 10 times worse. Just watching TV shows, eating Doritos and shit, bro. I don't want to listen to it, bro. I don't. I really don't. Cause what this nigga spelling is bullshit. I'm not gonna let a grown ass man talk to me, yell in my ear, and tell me what I watched growing up was bad. Man, when I tell you, I had good times watching these TV shows, bro. Like, these shows were so good. And this nigga's just coming here and talking nonsense on some of my favorite TV shows like Sanjay and Craig, Finboy Chum Chum, Tough Puppy. Man, it just pissed me off, bro. I'm gonna be quiet, bro. This shit pissed me off.
2000s, Fanboy and Chum Chum introduced the poop humor, and it continued all throughout the decade. Now these three shows, The Adventures of Kid Danger,
I might have autism. That's okay though. If you have autism, I love you. God bless you. Everything's gonna get better in the future. Keep on going.
Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and the Casagrandes are all spin-offs and reboots. Now look at the 2020s so far. Almost 70% of the shows in the decade thus far are spin-offs, reboots, and licensed shows. It seems as if at the end of the decade they introduce shows that are indicative of what is to come in the following decade. Okay, now the decline of SpongeBob. It's been talked about endlessly. They say it got bad after the first movie, whatever. I'm not here to dispute anything. I'm here to say at this point SpongeBob was arguably just bad. Look up the worst episodes of SpongeBob. No, I'll do it for you. The consensus is that A Pal for Gary is the worst. SpongeBob gets a new pet, and it tries to eat Gary. They literally rewrite SpongeBob to be dumber than usual to make the story work. Another terrible episode is One Course Meal, the episode where Mr. Krabs tortures and abuses Plankton, which is pretty out of character for Mr. Krabs. What's my point with this? These episodes came out in 2010. Most of the worst episodes came out in this decade, so not only were their new shows bad, but their legacy shows were too. Another point is the oversaturation of live-action shows. 29 live-action shows premiered in this decade, but that's not all. There were other shows that didn't premiere in the 2010s, but were still airing new episodes, making the total 33. That's a lot of shows. Some of them aren't that bad. I mean, they're sitcoms with children lead actors, they can't be that good either. But some of them are especially heinous.
Fred's from my hometown. And you know he's gay? I didn't know that.
Fred the Show? I can't fairly talk ill of all these shows because I have close to no knowledge about them. I only watched cartoons growing up, but all you need to do is look at the numbers. 33 shows running in a span of 10 years. It has to get watered down. It has to. I know the animation studio is probably completely separate from the live-action studio, with completely different budgets and everything, but I really wish more effort would have been spent on the cartoon side rather than live-action. You can clearly tell where Nickelodeon's focus went into this decade, and I believe this is a small contributing factor as to why the cartoons were so bad. Why did they cling to this type of humor? What made them think it was successful and funny? I can't tell you that. The only reason I can hypothesize, and it's a stretch, a long stretch, is for shock value. YouTube was becoming very successful and popular in the early 2010s, and by the mid-2010s was huge. The network saw this huge shift in viewership, where the kids, instead of watching cartoons, were watching their favorite YouTubers play video games, or vlogging, or what have you. I'm guessing
You get the best of both worlds. I didn't start really watching YouTube till like 2015. I mean, I was on YouTube as a little kid, but like that's when my brother was using a computer, and he was playing Pop Tropica and listening to what's that? Like, I like it like that. Hey, Windows there, chilling with the radio on. But that's the only time I really didn't watch YouTube to watch like PewDiePie and them fake ass niggas until 2016 when I started watching Cash Nasty, Troy Dan, Jazzy the Laser, and all them typing. Oh, and Rice Gum. That was my goat. Rice Gum was my goat. But yeah, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be saying right now. I don't know why I paused it. I really don't. Hold on a second. Dang. When you try to think of it, that's when it gets fucked up and they go into the back of your mind more. So you really just gotta like let it come to you. Somewhere it comes to me real quick. So basically, Yeah, real niggas was watching both. Just not in the early 10s, because in the early 10s, I was like in 2013, I was 6. So who the hell would watch YouTube at like 6 years old and shit? So in 2016, 17, 18, yeah, I created an account. And I started watching YouTube. I was still watching TV shows too. Like who the hell would drop one that you've been watching your whole life to watch people IRL? Hell no, you got the best of both worlds. You know? That's the best thing you can do. Have fun, nigga. Not be weird and shit, dude. Watch both. The hell? You been trying to make shit so hard. It's not that hard, nigga.
Guessing maybe this was their attempt to catch people's eyes and be like, look at us. We have this crazy, wacky, over-exaggerated junk. Look, I know that's not a very good reason, but I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel. I can't think of any other reason why any executive in their right mind would approve the poop humor. Not much has changed into the 2020s. The poop humor shows are definitely decreasing in quantity. However, they are just being replaced with reboots, spin-offs, and other licensed IPs. We're definitely in a reboot era right now. Everyone is doing it, and there aren't tons of unique new movies or shows. It only makes sense that Nickelodeon follows suit. Make sure you check out my other videos. I have quite a few about Nickelodeon and other cartoons. If you could please subscribe. I'm literally so close to 1,000 subscribers, and you hitting that button will help me greatly.
Okay,
Thank you for watching.
You, Brody. I got you.